Ross goes on holiday for a week, right? And within 24 hours of him leaving, Shane McMahon is back in WWE. I'm not saying Shane fears Ross or anything, but read between the lines there. Hey, I'm on holiday next week. I've got the week off. I'm putting money on it now. Mojo Rawley, by the end of next week, is going to be WWE champion. In fact, if that doesn't happen, I will send each of you $40. All right?
Checks will not be honored.
Let's take a look at the headlines. WWE introduced Raw Underground, but tapings were said to be in chaos. Finally, The Rock has bought the XFL, and we have details on Triple H's retirement plans. We'll get there in a bit. Also, I can't believe that last night's Raw was the first one that I didn't live stream in like 5 months or something. It was absolutely batch poo crazy. Anyway, we all know it now. Shane McMahon made his triumphant return to WWE, introducing the Raw Underground concept. It's basically Fight Club. I love the idea that Vince McMahon has only just seen Fight Club now. But the difference between Fight Club in the movie and this Fight Club is that Vince desperately wants you to talk about it because ratings are so low. I'm not going to sit here, by the way, and slag it off. Obviously, there are some concerns about the whole thing. We'll talk about what it is first. So, it is a segment which crops up throughout the show in like a dingy, underground, sort of warehousey looking thing. There's a picture right there. I pointed the wrong way there. There's a picture on the screen right now so you can see what it looks like. The ring, which doesn't have any ropes on it, but it is a wrestling ring, is surrounded by people in masks, and there are dancers dancing away. It feels very Attitude Era-y in some ways. And the atmosphere was different. Well, I like that. It felt different. And one criticism that people have had for an awful long time about, especially like Raw and SmackDown, is that they feel like the same show, but one happens to be red and one happens to be blue. This is something very different. So I'm not gonna be harsh on it yet, because you want to give these things a chance, right? Even if I do have some concerns, as I say. So Shane McMahon is the MC of this whole thing, because obviously, if anyone is fit for that job, it's the man who throws the best punches, the best looking punches in professional wrestling. And it's basically, it's a fight. It's a fight. The idea is that it's unscripted, raw, real, bloody, pounding each other in the face and body and all of that stuff. So, it feels very, very different to everything happening. And we can't talk about this without obviously bringing up the Brawl for All. Everybody's going to be doing that. The tournament back in the Attitude Era, which saw countless injuries and people's pushes being derailed because they were then viewed as weak, because it was real fighting, right? And then Bart Gunn won the bloody thing and was rewarded by being punched in the face. So I guess the comparison, and one of the issues that I remember having even way back when with the Brawl for All, is that if you're presenting something as on your show which is meant to be full of real fighting, you know, it's meant to be a sporting contest, and we're meant to suspend our disbelief and get into it. If you're presenting as one part of your show as the real bit, then sort of that makes everything else feel fake, and I don't think that is very helpful. I don't know if that applies here, or if that is going to damage the rest of the show, because hey, that's the real bit, and then everything else is it's that. Obviously, we all know that wrestling is fake, but to outside viewers, to more casual viewers, maybe that is an issue. Anyway, who did we see pop up? We saw the return of Babatunde, who is now being billed as Dabba-Kato, and he trounced his opponent in no time. We also saw Dio Madden get involved. Not seen him in some time. He was trounced very, very quickly. He's a big lad, but he couldn't handle the real fight. And he just got absolutely battered. Karrion Kross has tweeted, I know a thing or two about the Underground. I competed under similar rules previously against many savages. Among them, a hungry bulldog, Davey Boy Smith Jr., the hardcore king, Nick Gage, the first beast, down to B7, a vicious New York Gakusei, somebody fill me in on that one, and a lunatic fringe, talking about John Moxley, of course. A vicious New York accent. Why is that not springing to mind? Let me know in the comments. I feel foolish now. Anyway, so maybe he wants to get involved in this whole thing. As I say, I'm willing to give this a chance. It felt like a very different Raw. They're obviously implementing things that they hope will spike the ratings, and it's not just about, it wasn't really about Shane McMahon's return. It was about the introduction of a new TV concept. And so, let's give it a chance. And in this weird semi-empty arena time in which we are having to experience wrestling, actually something which feels a little bit different and that makes use of the fact that they can only really have small crowds with WWE personnel and performance center trainees and all that stuff. Maybe something that incorporates that and really utilizes that as part of its aesthetic. Is a good thing. So we'll see where we get. And you know what? The other thing is that it gives the opportunity for people who aren't seen on TV that often to get seen on TV, and for people to get behind them and for them to look really, really cool. There are issues. There are definitely issues with it, or potential issues. But hopefully you will agree with me that we should all give this one a chance, because it felt, I think, different in a good way. But before we move on from Raw, we've got a bit of an insight as to how the tapings yesterday went, and it's not good news at all. So, Gary Cassidy from Sportskeeda tweeting yesterday, "From what I've been told, Raw is apparently totally unprepared and chaos from the top. 2 shows are being taped," so that was the one that we saw last night, and next week's Raw, with the first changing on the fly, while the second is apparently incomplete. That should make for interesting viewing, if nothing else. Apparently there's a lack of leadership and a lot of stress due to the indecisiveness. I've been told the shows will happen and air, but there's no attainable goal of quality because everything is decided under the pressure cooker of it all coming down to the very last minute. I should add, I've lost count how many consecutive weeks I've been told there's chaos, multiple rewrites, etc. going into Raw and SmackDown, and of course the show always goes on. However, the stuff I've been told about what's going on today seems even wilder than usual. And wasn't it wild? Did you see the dancers? So yeah, I mean, it feels like we're talking about this sort of thing happening, as Gary mentions there, in fact. Quite a lot. Scripts are being torn up and everything's being rewritten, and it's very difficult to tell from the on-screen product sometimes, because Raw can be crazy inconsistent in its quality. Sometimes it can be really, really good. In fact, I'd say when Pritchard first took over from Heyman, we had a spell of maybe 3 or 4 weeks of just, I think, really good TV. And then it went a bit wonky, and sometimes those things correlate with the reports that things have gone crazy backstage, and sometimes they don't. Largely, I thought last night's Raw was pretty decent. I thought it was interesting, and as I've said about 50 times in the first story, it felt different. So maybe these things will become more apparent with next week's airings, next week's show. We will have to wait and see. 2020 has been awful in so many ways, and it's also been crazy in others, but nothing is quite as crazy as what I'm about to say now. The Rocks bought the XFL. This broke yesterday afternoon, and it's been revealed that, a group led by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has purchased the XFL, all of its assets, just hours before an auction was meant to start for those assets. And if everything goes to plan, which it may or may not, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. If everything does go to plan, though, the deal should finalise on my birthday on August the 21st. There are a few key people involved in this. One of which is Danny Garcia, which is Dwayne's ex-wife and his current business partner. And Redbird Capital's Jerry Cardinale as well, all equal investors. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come out and released a statement about this acquisition, or the potential acquisition, I guess. "The acquisition of the XFL with my talented partners is an investment for me that's rooted deeply in 2 things. My passion for the game and getting one over on that bastard Vince McMahon," he didn't write that, and my desire to always take care of the fans. With pride and gratitude for all that I've built with my 2 hands, I plan to apply these calluses to the XFL and look forward to creating something special for the players, fans, and everyone involved. For the love of football." Now, it goes without saying that Vince McMahon invested far more than $15 million in the creation of the XFL 2.0. It now looks like we're going to get the XFL 3.0. who knows what Vince is feeling about this, right? It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Like, you know what? It's sort of come full circle because The Rock appeared on the first XFL broadcast and received a lot of criticism for doing so because it felt so wrestling-y. And now he owns the bloody thing. Hey, listen, like, The Rock, it feels like everything that man touches turns to gold and tequila. And I've actually, like, this is the most optimistic that I've been about the XFL since its relaunch, since it was announced that, hey, maybe it was coming back. So he's a guy that just he's a genius, isn't he? He's the best. He's probably going to be president in about 4 years' time. And so we do have to mention that there's a potential for upset here because the Rock's XFL purchase may be blocked. The XFL's parent company has already filed a motion to stop the sale of the XFL's assets to Dwayne's limited liability company. According to PW Insider, a motion was filed asking the court to pause the sale, citing Alpha Entertainment has an ongoing obligation to negotiate terms with the proposed buyer that are most favourable to the estate and do not unduly prejudice its creditors. The proposed APA, I don't know what Farouk and Bradshaw have to do with any of this, however, does not reflect such terms and seeks to strip the estate of valuable assets for no consideration. Basically, I think what they're saying there is that Rock and Co. might have got this quite cheap and they're not very happy about it. And so we'll keep you updated on that, but this could all be done in what? Like 2 weeks' time? 2 weeks' time? 2 and a bit weeks' time, and the Rock and Co. might own the XFL. Am I dreaming still? This is all very weird. Let's talk about Triple H and the fact that he's going to retire from WWE. That's the way that some news websites I've seen push this story, which is absolutely crazy. So this is a bit of a rumour killer story, because you might have seen that floating around. Triple H is retiring. Triple H plans to retire from WWE. Yes, he does. In quite a while. So this was this comes courtesy of Ryback, of all people, the big guy, saying on a YouTube live stream, he only cares about the money he's making, and they don't let people get too big. They did away with that. I'm telling you the uncertainty of the company and knowing the only way he does, and Hunter, from the information I've been told, he doesn't want to stick around past 65, and it's going to be who is going to get the company once Vince goes, because we're getting to that point, which is nonsense, because Vince McMahon's mum's still alive. Vince is going to live to about 400, mate. There's going to come a point that he's around the age where this stuff really hits you, and I've seen the way he's aged. And essentially, Ryback is speculating that Vince McMahon might not be running WWE for too much longer. However, yeah, this is more about Triple H's plans. And if you've seen reports circulate that Triple H is planning to retire from WWE, yes, that's true, in the same way that I'm planning to retire, that you're planning to retire, that everyone plans to retire at some point in their lives. And that's the story. So when Triple H is 65, he'll probably retire, according to Ryback. Right. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. What a story to finish on. Man plans retiring. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're all great. Come and join me on Twitch. I'll be on Twitch tonight at 6 p.m. BST. I think that's 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't really know. Use Google. And I'm going to stream over there. Twitch.tv/Cultaholic. I'm doing my best to plug the Twitch a little bit more. We're going to be on Twitch a lot more in the coming months. All of us are going to be involved. Can't wait to do it. I'm blabbing on now, so just enjoy the rest of your days. I love you all. And bloody Shane McMahon's back. And Babatunda and Dio Madden. And I'm rambling more. Bye! See ya!